Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, very much for joining our session today. On behalf of Bank of America and my teammates here in the call, I would like to really extend our appreciation. We like sharing our good practices. The session today is called Stop Preaching to the Choir, Build an Ally Program for all your potential allies, boost engagement, and maximize support. We highlighted potential and we highlighted all. And so you're going to understand throughout the session what we have done as an organization in order to support allyship, to support our LGBTQ plus teammates, and also how we keep innovating and how we keep pushing and reinventing our ally program in order to reach more people through several strategies. We would like to share first a little about Bank of America, why we're doing this, what has been our ally journey, and then we're going to take you through several of our best practices, including an overview of our newly launched ally dashboard. In addition to that, we're going to share some principles and actions that we can take as organizations and as individuals in order to be able to promote allyship from within and outside in our communities. And we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A with Zach Wardle and Mariam Adams. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Christian Wodolowski. I am a business executive at Bank of America. I'm based in London, United Kingdom. I have been here for 4 years and a half now, originally from Uruguay in South America, but also I lived in the United States for 12 years and other parts of the world as well, here and there. I'm also part of the LGBT Executive Leadership Council and the Hispanic Latino Executive Council, and I'm one of the global LGBTQ plus ally program co-chairs. So I'm here today, as I mentioned, with Zach Wardle. So Zach, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Zach Wardle. I use the pronouns he and him. I am the Global Banking and Markets Operations COO and Diversity Executive. Along with Christian, I sit in the Executive Leadership Council and the co-chair for the Ally Program. As you can see in my pictures here, I've got a couple of children, married to a great guy, and we have 2 cats, only one of which would sit for a selfie. Miriam, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, folks. I'm Mariam Adams. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a senior financial advisor at Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. I'm proud to say that I have one of the largest leading LGBTQ focus practices in all of Wall Street. It didn't start that way, but it's certainly that way today, and I'm very proud of it. Some of these pictures here, you can see my oldest daughter on the left side. That was at World Pride in New York City, where we live. That's me at a gala trying to strut my stuff in a fancy suit. And then take a look at that family picture, that baby right there in the middle that I'm holding. I call that the Bank of America baby. Just a quick story. My family we were expanding our family. We kept getting rejected for infertility benefits. We're not infertile. We just create families differently. Our Pride group, our executives really helped out, and they created a family planning benefit. And it provides $20,000 up to $20,000, however you want to expand your family, adoption, surrogacy, IVF, whatever. And that is the first recipient. Her name's Rosie.
And we are so proud of the Bank of America baby. So thank you for sharing that story, Mariam. And by the way, not a Bank of America puppy, but that's my child, Garlic, there on the left. So that's our dog, and has traveled the world with us. So let's start the session, and let's see why we do what we do and what we have accomplished, so you get an idea of the scope of things as they happen here at Bank of America. At Bank of America, we ask our teammates, we ask our clients, what would you like the power to do? Well, from an LGBTQ plus perspective, we want to drive inclusion for all. Well, not only in the LGBTQ plus area, but across all of our teammates. So we want to identify talent. We want to be the employer of choice for LGBTQ plus talent. We want to develop that talent through sponsorships, mentorships, helping our employees grow. And at the same time, we want to get involved with our communities. We want to share good practices. We want to be able to make a difference, and we want to be able to get involved as much as possible. So you see Bank of America here, there, conference with our communities, volunteering events. So it's really empowering to see how our leaders support inclusion and how our leaders are supporting our LGBTQ plus communities within the bank and outside the bank. So Mariam, would you like to walk us through a little about our 2021 highlights, please.
Sure. I mean, even though we were physically distant and operating in a virtual space for much of this year, we were still connected and we had a very busy year. You can see that on the left. We joined HRC's Business Coalition for the Equality Act. That's calling for urgent passage of it. I think, as many of you folks know here, if passed, it would provide a federal standard for companies to treat all employees the same. Another thing we did, more than 165,000 employees at the bank participated in over 320 conversations. These were focused on intersectionality across the ENs. Folks, I'm a finance person, so I especially appreciate this stat and data, because if you look to the right, you can see our employee network has 36,000 allies. I think that's an impressive number, in 53 chapters around the world. We did a really fabulous job at getting more conversations connected to our 36,000 allies through our ENs, using this virtual environment to support those efforts. We also added the ability to select non-binary into self-ID. This is validating to so many of our teammates. It also deepens allies' understanding of the full spectrum of LGBTQ identities and expressions. And this is a little off topic, but in my line of business, in Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, we can now select other for our non-binary clients. This is a huge win for us because it's a testament to Bank of America's commitment to diversity and inclusion for us, and not just us, you know, it's a great place to work, but also the clients we serve, right? And a lot of my clients identify as LGBTQ. So Bank of America is pretty popular here at Out and Equal for a lot of reasons. So a lot of you already know that we have a long history of being a corporate leader in LGBTQ inclusion. This dates back to the 1980s with workplace policies established, you know, during the AIDS crisis. Fast forward to the 90s, that's my favorite decade. And while you'll see, like, we established the first LGBTQ employee network. And during that decade, we also became the first financial institution to offer domestic partner benefits. That was a big deal. We're very conservative, we're a historically conservative industry. And today we have best-in-class medical benefits for our trans teammates. So while we're super, super proud of these accomplishments, there is still work to be done. So we have the responsibility to do more, and Christian is going to share a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zach, anything else you would like to cover in this one?
I think Miriam hit most of it. I mean, the scope and scale of our employee networks, right? The 53 Pride chapters, the 36 domestic, the 17 international. It just shows you the scope and scale of what we do. The other thing I would just call out on the slide is the 81 out at work executives. So those are executives across all lines of business who have chosen to be out and visible allies for our organization. A number that's doubled since 2016. Christian, if you want to jump to the next slide, I'll kind of talk a bit about why an ally program or why now an ally program. So when you think about, you know, this organization, we really believe in the importance of what our responsibilities are. So when you think about this, we understand the value of an inclusive environment. Inclusion helps us attract and retain talent. And you know, given kind of the struggles that everyone has finding talent across the world, finding good talent, an environment that isn't inclusive isn't an organization that people want to come and work for, right? So we strive to do that. I would tell you that really diversity and inclusion is part of our DNA. There's a lot that the bank puts into official diversity and inclusion roles. Some people have it part of their day jobs, but you know, most people that are part of our employee networks, they do this because they're committed to diversity and inclusion. I have diversity and inclusion as part of my day job. It's in my title, but you know, above and beyond that, I do a lot for our employee networks, as you saw kind of just when we went through our getting to know you slides. And there's a lot of employees at the bank that take this role and just run with it as part of their night jobs, part of just what they want to do and deliver for the bank. We know the importance of engaging others to help educate. And you know, if you think back to 2020, you think about some of the racial inequality, some of the conversations that we're having. You know, the open conversations, whether that's about race, whether that's about the LGBTQ community, The bank is committed to those. We're committed to continuing to drive those conversations forward, and the importance of making sure that from a leadership perspective, all the way down to the bottom of our organization, that we're having those conversations and we're delivering and educating others. I think we also understand the value of the diverse team, right? We know that we need to mirror the communities in which we operate. If we look outside of our organization and we see metrics that don't mirror what we have internally, we know we have a problem that we have to go address. And we do a lot of that, right? We do a lot of the measurement. We do a lot of looking to make sure that we are doing the right thing for our communities and for our people. And then I think the last one is the promotion of equality. You know, Miriam covered this on the previous slide, right? I mean, everything that we've done, everything that we continue to do as an organization to really drive us forward. So Christian, you want to talk more about the Ally program today and kind of where we are?
Yeah, absolutely. So where are we from an Ally program perspective? We've been sharing our journey with Out and Equal for many years now. So I'm very proud to let you know where we are right now. So right now we have crossed the mark of 32,000 allies globally, allies and out at work employees as members of our Ally program. We have seen approximately 25% growth year after year, which is huge, but it's also hard work, right? So we need to really constantly reinvent our strategy in order to get us there. Of all 32,000, we have 1.6 thousand out-of-work employees that are actively helping to be role models for other LGBTQ plus teammates. We have shared best practices with 100 plus companies. You know that you can reach to Bank of America and we will schedule time, we will share, we will get with your leadership team, and we will try to support you in what we know and also try to learn from what you know. Our Ally program, whenever we go and we pull a report, shows that we have presence in 997 cities and 33 countries and counting. That is extremely impressive, and it really gives us an idea of the scope of what we're doing and the reach of what we're doing. So you can see on the right, what is our mission? We need to continue to enable visibility of our LGBTQ plus employees and allies. We want to retain talent. We want to see those benefits. We believe in the benefit, in the business benefits of a diverse team and an inclusive environment. We have a robust strategy. We have, and we will talk more about this, but we have ally ambassadors in every market we operate in. If a market comprises a city that is a key city, a key market for us, a key location, then we assign someone to that location as well. We have training sessions. We have a very strong network, and we have volunteer events where we bring people together. But also we have the Ally dashboard. That is one of the things that we want to highlight today, where really everyone can connect, ally, out-of-work employees, and we can educate others through included resources. What is our 2021 goals and where are we right now? 2021 is almost over, unbelievable, but we have had a strong focus on innovation. In May 2021, we launched our new Ally dashboard, and we're going to give you a preview. Growth and engagement. We continue to grow our program, but we really want to activate our allies. You are an ally, you have responsibilities. We want to help you understand your accountabilities. And really we focus on recruitment of new allies and promoting our internal brand. So moving, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this slide because we have a lot to cover, but how did we start an ally program and what did it mean for the company? So in 2012, so a lot of people say like, well, how did you accomplish this? 32,000 allies. It didn't happen overnight, right? It didn't happen overnight. It was hard work. We needed to prepare this case for inclusion and get leadership buy-in. So in 2012, we proposed the idea to the leadership. They bought into the idea and we did the program launch. It started like a very simple program, a SharePoint site. We created a very basic dashboard and people could go add their names and then they would become visible allies. So we launched an ally video and we set a goal with our executive sponsor of 25,000 allies. In 2014, we started formal education, one-on-one series, right? So everybody in the company should understand what it means to be an ally, what it means to be LGBTQ plus in the workforce, and then continue to educate and grow our program through enhanced reporting. So we started to pull reporting and share it with our business leaders in order for them to understand their own journey as well. We're a company with 8 lines of businesses. We have global presence. So we really wanted to engage globally with all those leaders. 2015, Collateral, a new dashboard. So we started creating different views for our teammates to know where the allies are and how to reach those allies in case they needed support in their LOB, in their location. And we introduced collateral, right? So branded t-shirts, branded tent cards, stickers for everyone to have and proudly display. Then we launched our engagement portal, and the evolution of that portal is what we're going to show you today. But in 2017, we finally crossed the mark of 20,000 allies, getting us very close to the goal of 25,000 allies. And we launched a new ally video. And in 2018, 1 year later, we reached 25,000 allies. We integrated our portal with our DNI Employee Network portal. And then in 2019, 2020, we developed a new goal and a new strategy. Our new goal is 60,000 allies, and we think we're gonna break that goal and we're gonna keep going like even higher. Where are we in 2021? We are in 32,000 allies, we have a new ally dashboard, and we have that focus on recruitment and branding. Where we go, we continue to grow and we continue to engage. But one of the things, and it's the key question for this workshop, and we created a poll, and I see many of you responded. Thank you for being an ally, and thank you for being proud and out at work. But one of the main things that I noticed last year, the year before, when we were doing panels, and we were doing councils, or sending communications, and people were reacting to those communications, is that every time I would go and do a panel or sit down in a panel, we did a panel here in EMEA, we did discussions, courageous conversations in the US, I had the best time. It was the time of my life. Why? Because all my friends were there. So I would go, I would lobby, I would hug everybody. That's pre-COVID, of course. But I would hug everybody, and then we would all go, I would sit on stage, chat with more of my friends in the company. Everybody nodded, and then we all had like a drink or a coffee, and then the panel ended. So we quickly realized that we were preaching to the choir. We were doing the panels, we were doing communications, events, and councils for our community, for our existing allies, but we were not focusing on using that community in order to enhance the work that we're doing. Things at Bank of America, and in any company for that regard, they cannot happen from the top. We cannot wait for the top to just launch a strategy and then we execute. They happen with each individual. I always think like one individual can create a movement. And our sphere of influence is 360 degrees. So this is where we went. We applied our operational excellence model for sustainable results. Operational excellence, if you ever heard our CEO, we want to drive responsible growth through operational excellence. Is the key concept that we have to continue to grow and drive efficiencies in our company. So the concept is very simple, is understand, then we measure, then we simplify, we re-engineer, and then we implement those changes, and then we do it all over again in a continuous improvement cycle. So in order to do that, we needed to understand where we are. We sat down and we evaluated our program. We measure our impact. We make it easier, right, to become an ally. So relentlessly simplify. We became intolerant to bad complexity. We want to make it simple for our teammates to support. And when possible, we innovated. But it says when possible, right? We don't innovate for the sake of innovating. And we never stop planning in the planning phase. So we make it happen. If something cannot be executed, we're not going to just leave it on paper. How do we drive results? Well, the results that we drove with this is impressive. We increase our visible allyship. We have a new strategy. We have a new look, and we have a dynamic environment. And you will see what we have in terms of budgets and activities that our allies can perform. And that is extremely important because if your ally strategy, if your ally program is stale, so will your allies, right? So we need to encourage action, and that's the concept of activating our allies. So how we leverage our strengths? Well, instead of hitting our community, we want to use our community. So we started talking to our allies, our 32,000 LGBTQ plus out at work and ally teammates, in order to help us with internal branding within their line of business and market, and then through recruitment and outreach. And Zach is going to drive us through that. He's going to walk us through that, talking about recruitment, because that's a key word, right? We want to continue to recruit allies, and recruitment is very, very broad. So we're going to talk about that and how we leverage HR practices. But then we leverage this team to create the events, to participate in councils, to create newsletters, and to be in panels. So we increase their visibility. Instead of being us talking to our friends and preaching to the choir, now we have a 32,000 team, right, strong, that will drive growth and engagement. So moving to the next slide, and I will pass it over to Zach, because one, he has experience in HR, and two, because he's really cool talking through slides. So Zach.
Thanks, Christian. So listen, I'll pick up where you left off, which is leveraging our talent practices, right? So those of you that maybe have an HR background, right, or just kind of understand talent management in general, it's about attract, retain, and develop. And when we think about those three seemingly simple steps, that really applies to how we can gain allies, how we can keep those allies, and how we continue to develop those allies. Somebody asked a question, we'll hit on at the end. What's the difference between just signing up, or how do you know somebody signed up, or how do you know somebody actually has done something about being an ally, right? So it's easy to click a button. It's a lot more difficult. It requires more commitment to be an engaged ally. But I mean, those talent practices around being able to attract allies, communicate to allies, and we'll talk more about how we do this, potential allies, how we retain you and develop you, are things we'll hit on. I want to talk for a second about this graphic over here on the right. So starting at the top, this is really the life cycle of an ally. When we think about how we want you to go through being an ally, or the different phases that you'll go through. So you're a new ally. You just signed up to the program. You've committed to the LGBTQ community, and you've said, I want to be visible in our portal, and we'll show you that. The next step is really about how do we onboard you? So again, you might, if you're coming at this and you're not part of the LGBTQ community, you might not have the background. You might have questions. Even if you're part of the community, you have questions, right? How does the bank talk about certain things? How do we talk about things as a community? That ally onboarding stop along your way is critical to be able to get the knowledge that you need, the training that you need, the fundamentals that you need, to be able to, for us to provide you with actions that can help move you to the next step. So what can I proactively do right now that I have an education? What can I proactively do that gets me to the next step of being an engaged ally? So again, it's one thing to raise your hand and say, I'm an ally. It's another to actually be an engaged ally and to follow those actions, right? To promote the community, to talk about the community, to engage in conversations, to be able to stop people from engaging in conversations that may be appropriate, right? To call out things within the community in which we operate. And that's really what we think about from an engaged ally. As Christian talked about, and we'll hit in on the portal, there are actions that you can do. There are things that we prompt you to do that will allow you to be a more engaged ally, to get involved locally, to get involved, across the organization. The next big step is, you're an engaged ally. Now we want you to go do something more about it, and we want you to help grow our allyship at the bank. And we do that by turning you into an ally recruiter. So the LGBT community, the things that you can do to be engaged. Now we want you to be an ally, and we want you to bring one along with you. And we say be one, bring one. It's more than that, though. It's not just the one we want. It's multiple. How we get to the 60,000, as Christian called out, so we have 32. If everyone was to bring just one more person, right, we get to 60, and we do that overnight. The difference is not everybody is that committed, right? And we need to engage you through this process to help turn you into that recruiter that can bring more. And then the last step is really when we think about you as just an ally leader, not just an ally leader, an ally leader. So these are people within our organization that have the ability to, regardless of where you sit, have the ability to present at leadership team meetings, to have conversations in the organization about the LGBTQ community. So that's an important, critical role. That doesn't mean that you're an executive at the bank. That just means that you are someone, or that means that you are someone who can go out and drive conversations within your business, regardless of where you sit. I think that's probably that's the pinnacle of what we think about from an overall, life cycle perspective. But I think that's critical. Christian, is there anything else that you would just hit on kind of around this slide, or anything else that you think we should talk to?
No, I think the most important thing is, we hear it a lot, right? I'm an ally, so now what? What can I do? Well, give them a roadmap. Give them a roadmap in order to grow. Give them a roadmap from the moment they sign up to be an ally, which is something that it's easy to do. To become an ally leader, that is a challenge. So give them the roadmap, give them the challenge, help them develop and retain those allies. Just by clicking and saying like, I'm an ally, it doesn't mean that they are engaged, that you're gonna retain them in the longer term. So the only way to make it sustainable is through having this cycle, the roadmap, and when they are ally leaders, right, they influencing others, like to Zach's point, sitting in leadership tables, etc. The level of satisfactions that allies get, right? And we hear so many success stories, it's just unbelievable. So give them a roadmap, whatever works for your organizations, make sure that it's documented and make sure that your allies understand it. So let's go to the next slide, Zach.
Yep. So when you think about what we've been talking about, there's a big pool of potential allies that exist. And we kind of want to hit you, what's the old saying? It's say something 6 times 6 ways, right? Because eventually people will start to listen. So this model shows the 3 times 3 ways that are getting us there. When you think about the potential allies, on the one side, we talked about the ally members. We look at those people again, the recruiters that we have that can just encourage and bring more people. They're talking to that group of potential allies. That's using your network as an ally to potentially encourage other people to join the program and to start to become allies along that life cycle. Down at the bottom of this graphic, we have the ambassadors, which Christian talked about a little bit. I'll talk about more on the next slide, as well as our employee network chapters. Right? It's not just me as an ally who can go recruit more. It's also what we talk about within our local markets, within our chapters, within the intersectionality of all of the different employee networks that we have at the bank, talking to those local markets and talking to our potential allies and bringing that message together end to end around diversity and inclusion. And the last one is really around LOB outreach. So this is, me as a part of our global operations organization, being able to influence what our messaging is around the LGBTQ community. It's about, ensuring that we continue to develop that message and push that through the organization where we can. This happens, across the organization, again, regardless of where you are, because people are engaged from a diversity and inclusion perspective. I want to just hit quickly over on the other side, the right-hand side of this page. So when you think about the pillars, the items that you see kind of in the lighter blue color, so communication, training, events, advocacy, intersectionality, and LOB outreach, those are all, we think about those as kind of horizontal actions, right? Those are horizontal items that can span across the LGBTQ networks that we have. They can span across the Ally program as well. And then when you think about the Ally program itself, this is where we can set the Ally strategy. So where Christian and I and the team can pull up and really start talking about what is our strategy and how do we drive that across Bank of America. This is also where we take responsibility for owning the technology, for owning the reporting, and then for also engaging our allies and engaging our ambassadors. And again, I'm going to talk more about the importance of those ambassadors in the next slide or two. But Miriam or Christian, what else would you hit on this? Because there are different aspects that I know you're all involved with around this graphic.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I love this slide. So thank you for presenting. I think as potential allies, so I used to run a small theater company, an LGBTQ plus theater company in Charlotte, North Carolina. And sometimes we struggle like getting audiences for many reasons. It shows we're a little pushing the envelope, but we always thought about this 3X marketing approach. In order for people to buy a ticket for our show, they needed to see a poster, they needed to hear it in the radio, and they needed to get an email. Just by the email, it didn't work. Just by the poster, it didn't work. Once they saw it 3 times, then we had our potential audience member. The same we're doing with the Ally portal, right? And our Ally program. We want to hit our potential allies through different sites and really create this multi-angled strategy in order to grow our membership, in order to continue to engage. So I think that's what it really strikes me from this is, first, you presented, Zach, on how we use HR practices and now how we use this branding and marketing approach, right, in order to make results sustainable and really meet these potential allies where they are. So we stopped preaching to the choir, we focus on our potential allies, and we use our current base in order to recruit, to use LOB, to do LOB outreach, and then through ally ambassadors and our chapters in the markets, then we can really engage where they are sitting at their building, at their location. So that's great. Thank you very much. So let's go a little deeper on our strategy, and I don't want to run out of time, so let's cover this in a succinct manner. But we have our potential allies. We want to go from 32,000 to 60,000. So, Zach, can you talk a little about our ally ambassadors, how we leverage existing allies, LOB strategy? And we touched a bit on this, right?
Yep, so, absolutely. So listen, I'm going to say just a few things about these different buckets or different groups, right? So ally ambassadors. When you think about the portal, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Each market that we are in has, as Christian talked about, an ambassador. And these are people that when you decide you want to be an ally, they have said, we are here for you to ask any question that you want, for you to, to help you figure out how you can engage within the ally network, within your local chapters. Those individuals are really key to our success. We work with them, constantly with around reporting for your market, around, how are your allies showing up? Those individuals can't really be understated in this, in our overall success here. Those are critical to role because they really are a point person for any ally within the network to be able to reach out to and talk to. The second one we've talked about quite a bit, right? The existing allies I mentioned before, be one, bring one. It seems so easy. It seems so easy. It's not as easy to execute on that. But again, if everybody was willing to just have the conversation with their network and find one person who wasn't an ally and bring them, it would be huge, right? The LOB strategy, again, sorry, line of business, we slip into Bank of America terminology, the line of business strategy. I'll talk more about this one, so I'm going to hold off on getting to the detail, because this is one where we really can talk about how the reporting and the details from what we capture in the portal can really lead to us executing within our lines of business. But Miriam, do you want to talk a bit about the employee networking and the advocacy or anything else on this page?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick example. This year, it was a virtual environment, so we couldn't quite celebrate the way we wanted to and hug each other like Christian would want to do, and me. So we, I think, pulled off a very successful flagship Pride event where we linked, and this is where reciprocal allyship comes into play, because we took our 30,000 plus allies and we connected them to other ENs. And so there's beautiful intersectionality there. And I don't know I think going forward, it's going to be robust in the same way, but I don't know if it would have happened without this virtual environment and this amazing portal that we have.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Zach and Mariam. How are we doing this, right? It seems like really big, like a very robust structure that it takes a lot of people. But what I would recommend is, hey, we have a lot of tools. We develop those tools throughout the years. We always get asked, well, we cannot do this, right? This may have cost you a lot, etc. Just focus on what you can do and pick one of these good practices, right? Or one of these strategies, and then build on it. So right now we're using several tools. We have ally videos. We record videos and we post them on our intranet, right? We share them with the rest of the teammates so that leaders can understand those personal stories. We talked about ally ambassadors. We continue to develop toolkits that are easy to use. The 30 pages, 40 pages toolkits are a thing of the past. So 1-page toolkit with all the information you need. We have a specific week throughout the year that is Ally Week. Ally Week is focused on our allies. It's focused on recognizing our allies and growing our ally base, right? So we continue to have that focus, and this is part of our enterprise calendar together with Pride Month. So it is extremely important to know that this is supported by the enterprise. And we continue to innovate. We have badges, right, that they can get. Like our allies can go to the portal and earn badges, and we're going to show you this. But now we're working on a strategy for dynamic badges. So that means if we have a day of visibility, if we have Pride Month, we can release 3 educational opportunities. If our allies complete those educational opportunities, they will get this additional badge, and that they will show with pride, right? Because they are supporting, they are learning, and they continue to engage. We have an easy to access portal with resources for them to use. And then we continue to I'd say like we continue to spread communications across the enterprise with clear reports on where each person is, where each leader is, where each city, each country, each market, each LOB. So people understand where they are and where they need to focus their energy. So now we want to show you our Ally dashboard. We've been talking a lot about how we do it. We recognize the fact that we needed technology in order to make this happen. We have 50% of our company work in either operations or technology. So we have a very good technology teams that supported these efforts together with our global HR team and our D&I executives. So we're very proud to show you this. Last year, if we were in decision, we showed you something totally different. So this year, it was innovation. It was making it easier. So Mariam will walk us through our welcome page to our new Ally dashboard. So Mariam.
Yeah, so folks, take off your HR and D&I hats. Now you're just an employee, okay? So this is the screen that you see. This is where it happens. Just so you know, when you meet a lot of us Bank of America people at Out and Equal, we're going to talk about the Ally portal a lot. I accidentally mentioned that on a different presentation and people are like, hey, what's that? So here it is, right? This is where it all begins. So this is the landing page. Identifying yourself as an ally or out at work teammate, I think you would agree, is an important step to show your support and also that level of engagement Zach was talking about before. So these are the screen grabs. On the left, you can see this is the process we use to self-identify as an ally or out at work. So see that in red? That's the part we're looking at. And then after you make that selection, we have to acknowledge the latest employee data protection notice. It's an acknowledgement because it allows us to be visible on the portal and in your employee profile and directory so others can see your support. And that's the point of it. Christian, do you want to say a little bit more about that part before I move on to the next?
About the data protection, yeah. So we have different laws, right? And we have different rules and regulations that we need to be compliant on each of the countries. Plus, we want to protect our employees' data. So every time someone clicks into be a visible ally or be out at work, then they are going to be launched a data protection notice that is specific to the country they are in. And we have worked with legal teams in those countries in order to make sure that what we do is correct. We partner with HR, etc. One thing that gets asked, right? Is this public? Yes, it is public. Two, is this HR data? No, it's not HR data. So our Count Me In campaign and self-ID is something totally different and confidential. I always see the Ally portal as something that you raise your flag, your rainbow flag, in your cubicle at work, you sit down and that's your flag. This is the virtual version of that. It's a way of showing support to your teammates, but now everybody can see you, everybody can search for you and say like, wow, Mariam is out at work. Wow, this person is an ally, right? Well, I can reach out, I can get support. So this is the virtual version of this. And also they can pick which chapter they can be a part of. So by being part of the network, you are an ally. By being an ally, you are part of the network. And the data protection notice ensures that we are compliant with laws, rules, and regulations of the countries we operate in. So thank you, Mariam. One of the main things, like the one click, I think is ideal, right? So be visible, be out at work, you click, you're visible and out at work. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and then just real quick, after you do that, you send the acknowledgement, then you find your own local chapter or the one closest to it. So you already know we have 50 plus chapters around the world. So if most people don't have one like I do in New York City, then you choose the next closest one. And that's it. That is the easiest part, right? Pretty easy. That's where your journey begins. And now Christian's going to show you what happens next after you complete this basic step.
Thank you. What do we do after we complete this? We enter our page and you start your journey. So you have 4 badges: learn, support, advocate, and inspire, with activities linked to each of them. So the activities are: I attended an LGBTQ plus Pride Ally 101 session. I attended a panel discussion sessions. I attended a bisexual 101 session. Those are just examples, right? As you move through each of the badges, then you have different activities. Once you complete all 4 badges, then you become a platinum out at work member or a platinum ally member, and then you continue with this journey. This is in addition to the next phase of this that is going to include dynamic badges as well. If you take a look to the right, then you also see your ambassador, a search function, and then tips that they keep like rotating every day, plus your status, because of course you can toggle in between out at work and ally. If at one point you are not ready to come out at work, or you are an ally, you were an ally, and you want to change your status, then of course you can. Moving to the next one, and quickly, can you tell us about the navigator functions, Zach?
Yep. So listen, we could probably spend hours on the value of this individual page in and of itself, and I think Miriam and Christian are going to both talk to this. But listen, here as an Out at Work member, as an ally, you're able to go search for people that are part of your line of business. They're part of your city. They're part of your team, to really refine, and for you to be able to reach out to other allies or Out at Work team members. All the filtering that you guys can imagine is all built into this. The intrinsic value of just knowing as an Out at Work employee that I can go out to this website and I can look for people that happen to be in my building, and I can find other Out at Work members, or I can find other allies. You guys all know we're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to the choir on this one a bit. You see the value. I would just say, and I'll talk a bit more to this, when you think about, so that's the ally side, or the Out at Work side. When you think about the business side, this allows us to really start creating reporting for lines of business, right? It allows us to look regionally. It allows us to look within individual chapters and really identify where are our allies, where are the Out at Work employees that we have, that we can then engage to further continue to drive our strategy, to partner with them to drive LGBTQ, actions across the organization. So a whole bunch that you can do on this one page. I'm not doing it justice, but I know we want to get to Q&A and additional slides. So Christian, I'll stop with that.
Perfect. So, Zach, you mentioned a lot about producing report, right? Producing reports, helping the LOB. Anything else you would like to add on how we support the business? I know you have had business support executive roles and others. So can you take 60 seconds and just like what were the key points on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, when we want to take a step back and we want to start looking at who our allies and Out at Work members are within our lines of business, I can tell you there are countless times that we go to this data and that we use it to try to really figure out, and Christian mentioned my job as a business support exec. We look at this data all the time to really try to, from a line of business perspective, understand where allies and Out at Work members are that we can engage within our organization to help drive the culture, to help drive messaging, right? When Pride Month is here, when National Coming Out Day is here, we want our employees and our allies to be able to leverage those individuals. We do that through the reporting that we gain from this portal. And the information is all here for us to consume and then to leverage within our businesses. I'll stop there, Christian, for the sake of time.
No, excellent. That's great. Mariam, you were mentioning, so you're a strong mentor for many LGBTQ plus teammates. Tell me a little about how you leverage the site. Have you ever had anyone reach out and then you refer them to the site for resources, either an ally, Out at Work, or tell us a little bit about your experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the time. I think I should get a badge for ally recruiter. That would be really fun. Can we get like a status for that? Because it's like what you were talking about with our marketing and branding. I know that that's very robust. And I can tell in some of my conversations when I meet somebody and I say, hey, are you on our ally program or portal? And they'll say, oh, I've heard of that before. How do I do it? That's the biggest question I get. And as you folks already saw, it's super easy, right? So I am a mentor at the bank. Also, my line of business is Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. I can tell you I'm the only person at headquarters at Merrill Lynch that presents the way I do. For me, this is really important to get the folks around me who maybe have the ability, they might not even have LGBTQ people in their orbit, right? But they could potentially be great allies and they just want to learn more a lot of the times, right? Like they just want to be educated about this stuff. So this is the first place where I recommend people go. Believe it or not, still in New York City, I have 1 or 2 people every year coming out of the closet to me asking for advice in how to do it, how I built my practice, which is surveying mostly LGBTQ individuals. And so it's been a wonderful experience because I can navigate through the bank and look at all different lines of businesses and who is out at work and who is an ally. And it's a great tool for me.
That's a great perspective, Mariam. Thank you very much.
Sure.
For me, sharing in 1 minute, right? For me, the Ally portal has been instrumental in coming out, not only at work, but really in coming out. I moved to the United States. At that point, I was not out at work. I was a very scared Hispanic, Latino, LGBTQ plus individual that didn't know how it would fit in corporate America. So we know that story, and we can talk about authenticity. I joined the Ally portal as an ally, and it really demanded like many weeks, hours, weekends, analyzing the data in the portal, analyzing who on the reporting chain was a visible ally, who was out at work. And it really enabled me to feel so comfortable within my LOB and within my business that I decided to not only come out at work, but after I'd done that, come out to my family. So I actually came out at work before I even came out to my family, very late in age, and we all have our own reasons, but because a tool like this existed. So the Ally portal is very dear to not only my heart, but many of our employees that went through the same, that are relying on this tool in order to navigate a very large corporation globally in countries that have their own challenges, in cities that have their own challenges, states, and really help them find support and help them navigate life. So I cannot speak enough of what the portal means to me and the commitment of the company for the constant evolution of the program and taking it to the next level. We have 2 minutes left before we jump into a 10-minute Q&A. If you have questions, please submit them in Pathable. If you pronounce Pathable, I still don't know. And then Erin will navigate through some questions and give it to us. So we wanted to leave you today, and we will upload this one to the platform so you have it. We have learned a lot through the years. So we have gone and we documented our principles and actions that you can take from an LGBTQ plus allyship perspective. The first one is know your current state. The second principle is know why you are doing it, and we talked about our responsibility. Third, keep it simple. People have enough in their minds already. Keep it simple and make it simple. Be bold and deliberate about allyship. Influence others and develop partnerships and advocacy. But the beauty of this is that all of those are linked together. I'm glad the animation works. So now we go into each of them, and very quickly, I would like Zach first to pick one of the actions that we can take as corporations and as individuals in order to make this work. So pick one of those. Again, everyone, you will get this placement, so we're not going to cover all the points.
Yep. So listen, I think the biggest one here is don't sugarcoat it to leaders. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with our leaders where I think something is not going the way it needs to go relative to our LGBTQ strategy, and having the conversation, knowing where we want to get, and forcing the dialogue is probably the most important thing, right? Having the true and honest conversation. So that's one I'd pick.
I agree. Mariam.
Yeah, know why you're doing it. I think an important one here is not to make assumptions about what people's needs are. Every team is different. Every line of business is different. So anticipate those needs by asking.
Zach, challenge the status quo. So on this one, it's just because we've been doing it that way doesn't mean we should keep doing it that way. That's a huge one for us.
Mariam, be bold and deliberate.
Speak your mind. That's how we started this family planning benefit journey, right? I needed help. I reached out to my Pride group. I reached out to the allies who are on the Ally portal and out at work, and I knew I was safe to have those conversations with them.
Influence others.
Develop allies. We've talked about the importance of it, not just being an ally, but developing those allies. That's critical to everyone's success, giving them the knowledge and the skills and the actions that they need to continue their journey.
Excellent. And Mariam, last but not least, develop partnerships and advocacy.
We're connected to people's narratives and stories. It's what makes us interesting. I say continue sharing that, encourage people to share their personal journeys. Typically, when I start calls with new people, I say, tell me your story. It's important. You never know which way it's going to go.
I agree. So team, I always say, print this, use it as a reference, pick one principle and one action, do it do it well, and move on to the next. Is the best way to make progress and the best way to boost your strategy. Keep meeting your allies where they are, right? Reach potential allies by means of your existing allies. And let's stop preaching to the choir, or continue preaching to the choir, but preach broadly, or increase the size of your choir constantly. It will sound much better, believe me. So let's go with some Q&A. Erin, any question that we would like to put forward?
Yeah, there's some repetitive question, or there's some questions that have been asked quite a bit. One is like, what are the sources of your content, like your one-on-ones? Are they bank developed, external resources? Can you speak to that? Is there anything that you can share? That was kind of a recurring theme. There's some other ones, but I'll let you all chew on that one first.
Yeah, sure. Mariam, I think you have been involved in the development of training. So we have a very strong employee network structure, and we have a training work stream that works on developing this training. In addition to that, we train teammates across the globe in order to be facilitators. We rely on external content and partnership as well. And then at the same time, we rely on content that we develop ourselves. So it's a combination of both, but those sessions are distributed to our teammates through our internal learning platform. And we ensure that we have reached, that we can track who is taking those sessions, where, in which geographies, and which LOBs as well. And the content is continually in evolution. So Mariam, can you talk a little more about that, or anything to add?
Yeah, that's right. So I think maybe in other companies, and you folks can chime in here, you have some transcripts that you need to get through, some learning and education outside of LGBTQ, just related to work, right? So we have educational materials that is related to LGBTQ. For example, on Lesbian Visibility Day, I was on a panel with some of my teammates, and we spoke about some of our experiences. That counts as a credit towards your Ally Platinum status, right? So you can get a certain number of credits that are already there, watch those things, participate, and really elevate yourself to be connected more. Yeah, so we have different statuses also. So if you get Platinum Ally, that's the highest one. So it's like bragging rights for us too. It's like, oh, are you just an ally on the portal, or are you Platinum? So Platinum, obviously.
That's great. Thank you,
Hey, Christian, do you want to hit on just really quick? Well, actually, Mariam, I should have you hit on, because you were part of a panel that talked about the executive briefing. It ties into like how we create our materials. Want to hit on that?
Sorry, what was the question about the briefing?
Do you want to just talk about like, well, I guess we can just tell people the session's out there.
Yeah. So on, you could check out the executive briefing. I thought this was groundbreaking. I was part of this briefing, and I really had a small part of it. But you know how we have a lot of LGBTQ information for our allies, right? Like a fact sheet, something like that. Well, we took all that information and we put it in a 30-minute video. And with that video, we tied it to other LGBTQ individuals. So the real story of someone's experience is also tied into gender or pronouns or expressions, identities, all of that. So it's a 33-minute briefing. Check it out. It's going to be here. But that was critical because a lot of times when I'm speaking, I have a captive audience, right? Like it's LGBTQ people internally or allies. This was created, I think, call it sensitivity training, right? So people can see us and understand us from afar so that they can be better when we're near, right? That's the concept. And so I think it's great that all the executives in the company had to watch this video and get a better understanding of us.
That's great. Thank you, Mariam, very much. Erin, any other question?
So another one that comes up quite a bit, is the portal only available for LGBTQ, or do other employee networks have something similar that they can utilize?
Well, the company is working right now. So we started the portal in 2012, and so it was focused only in the LGBTQ plus Pride employee network. Now the company is working on evaluating different options that not only will include other employee networks, but the firm as a whole. So that's part of our advocacy and intersectionality efforts. We're working extremely hard with all of the employee networks. And so more to come on that in terms of a tool. So the culture already exists out there, conversations are happening, We are linking together all of our employee networks in order to have a common front towards inclusion and belonging. But from a technology perspective, we are evaluating what makes sense, how it will roll out. So more to come, and maybe we can share something like this next year.
So in that vein, there's a couple of questions that are kind of related. The actual portal site, was that developed by staff or volunteers?
That was developed by staff. So we have staff is part of the GHR technology team. It was worked in conjunction with them. Let me go back to it. It was working in conjunction with the D&I executives, and it worked as a technology project. So we defined business requirements, then a high-level design document was produced. We did user acceptance testing, and then it was rolled out to all of the employees globally.
And then there's some technical questions about like not just the reporting out of it, but do you actually measure engagement on the actual site, like what people are interested in?
Yeah, we measure engagement because we can evaluate what activities are being completed, what activities are being completed first, what badges are being being achieved by our employees. And also because we have the two distinctions, who is platinum and who is not, then we can track who are those platinum allies when they become allies month after month. We can also measure engagement after specific events. So if we have a global all hands for global operations and we present on LGBTQ plus strategy in our ally dashboard, then at that point, after that, we can pull a report. It's like, okay, look, this LOB, this was really impactful. If we spend a lot of time doing something that didn't have that impact and we didn't generate that engagement, then we will know immediately so we can tweak our strategy in the spirit of operational excellence as well.
So there's two kind of questions that are thematic remaining that I've seen, and I apologize if I missed any, but one question is, how do you sustain allies over time versus just, oh, I'm excited I signed up, and now how do you keep me? I think y'all have talked about that, but if there's anything else you'd like to say. The other question that's out there, and maybe Miriam, you can address this or have people could reach out to you. There's a question about how you actually brought forward the need beyond the EN and the executives, how you created a proposal for what you wanted to do, and maybe that's a whole separate session. So those are the kind of the two thematic things that I noticed.
It is. So we have 1 minute left, right? So I recommend that everyone watches the session on Wednesday about executive briefings hosted by Bank of America. That explained how we did it and how we accomplished that. Zach touched base, and I let you. We will leave you with this. Remember, attract your allies, retain your allies, and develop your allies. Be aware of that circle, that roadmap, in order to turn a new ally into an ally leader. Just don't let them roam the company without tools, without direction. Give them a roadmap and let them know what you need. Be bold and deliberate of what we need them to do. Tell them, be one, bring one, be engaged. And that's the key. So Zach, anything to add to that, since you covered that portion?
Nope, I think you hit it, Christian.
Okay. So I think we are on time. I don't know if Zoom will just kick us all out, but we wanted to thank everyone for being here with us today. Zach, Mariam, amazing. Erin, thank you for being our producer. Corina, thank you so much for helping out on behalf of Out and Equal. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to us. Zach Wardle at bofa.com, Christian Wedolowski at bofa.com, Marian Adams at ml.com, and then or our mailbox lgbtq.pride.ally.program@bofa.com. We're going to upload the placemat that we showed before, this one, and our contact information to the platform, so you have it. Make use of it, and thank you very much for joining. And remember, stop preaching to the choir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of Summit.